Hi, my name is Dr. Celeste Fraser Barthel, and I am currently a fellow at the Oregon State University's STEM Research Center. My co-author is Dr. Martin Storstick, director of the center. I'm presenting research from my recently completed dissertation. We looked at how scientists understand the basic concept of the way people learn and how that might influence their approaches towards designing and conducting outreach to the public, particularly when their main goal was to teach about the content of their work. Previous research has found that sharing information about their scientific research is a main goal of most scientists who engage in outreach, even if they also have a purpose of exciting people about the fascination of science. If audience learning about science is a goal of outreach for many scientists, then the strategies employed in their outreach efforts might reflect this in their education agenda. In essence, how scientists think people learn should inform their approach towards teaching their audience. When we looked at the literature on outreach, we found little that explored these issues. The closest related work we found was research on the way in which undergraduate instructors might determine their approach towards the use of evidence-based teaching practices. However, this work was focused on improvement of student outcomes and less as a desire to align goals with processes related to learning. In order to study how scientists think about learning and whether this might impact their outreach, we developed an online questionnaire and used snowball sampling within the community of scientists already conducting outreach. More than 200 scientists with experience facilitating face-to-face outreach participated in our online survey. They represented a range of scientific disciplines and career stages. They also had a wide range of experience in conducting outreach and ranged widely in their prior participation in outreach-related professional learning. In order to gauge how each scientist in this study thought about learning, we asked both closed and open-ended questions. At the core of the study, we asked respondents to express their agreement or disagreement with 4 statements that represented 4 distinct concepts of learning, derived from learning theories in education and cognitive science: behavioralism, cognitivism, constructivism, and socioculturalism. The first one, behavioralism, in essence, represents the idea of filling an empty vessel with knowledge. The latter 3 represent more complex ideas on how people construct knowledge. We found that participants' understanding of learning is complex. For the most part, behavioralism was least embraced by respondents. Many endorsed statements around the other 3 learning theories. They responded equally. Overall, our sample of scientists seemed to hold fairly sophisticated notions of learning. In order to further analyze the results, we split the respondents into 2 categories: those who embraced the 3 more complex learning theories generally endorsed by educators, and those who strongly aligned with behavioralist learning theory. While we expected those who held a more sophisticated understanding of learning would use more sophisticated strategies to support their audience, this was not always the case. Not only was this a messy relationship, but the ideas they held were sometimes in conflict. And even when they held more complex understandings of learnings, they did not always operationalize their understanding by using the best strategies to support their audience's learning. In short, outreach tactics that fell roughly under the category of telling the audience were embraced more strongly than one might expect from scientists' sense of how learning actually happens. However, we did notice that there was a correlation between experience conducting outreach and the sophistication of outreach strategies. The more experienced scientists were at outreach, the more likely they were to use active learning strategies. In other words, not just telling the audience that they were conducting their outreach with about their research, they engaged them more. There was also some initial indication that prior professional development contributed to the strategies used by the participants in support of audience learning. Those 2 findings align with some parallel insights from formal science education in schools and universities. Teachers and instructors will embrace tactics and strategies they see as doable and effective for student outcomes. Scientists could be taught about learning theory, but this may not be the key to changing their practices. Our findings from this one study require some further verification and may not extend to scientists who are brand new to outreach. And we want to acknowledge that some highly effective programs to support science outreach, such as Communicating Ocean Sciences to the Informal Audience, COSIA, and Portal to the Public, POPNet, are including practical exercises that sensitize participants to the learning process. Thank you very much.